presentation of Fox Sports.
We are Fox Sports. We are Arizona.
We're in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. This D-backs road trip continues, trying to snap a three-game losing skid, and they'll turn to the red-hot Robbie Ray today to even the series up with the Pirates. It's Robbie Ray versus Pittsburgh's Ivan Nova. The D-backs and the Pirates set for baseball on Fox Sports Arizona. Good afternoon from PNC Park, and welcome to the broadcast. Bob Brentley is off this week. Steve Berthume and Tom Candiotti along the way. It's the Diamondbacks and the Pirates. D-backs trying to stop this three-game losing skid, and they've got the best road stopper in the National League going tonight, Candy, and Robbie Ray.
Yeah, Robbie Ray has just been outstanding on the road this year. 3-1 and less than a 1 ERA. I mean, he is just dealing on the road. One thing about Robbie Ray, he brings it, and he can do it with his fastball in the upper 90s. His slider is just a lights-out slider, and when he even throws the curveball, and so he's going to be a tough customer for the Pirates.
And coming off two very dominant starts, Robbie has been on a roll lately. How does he contrast with Pittsburgh starter Ivan Nova?
Ivan Nova can be very, very tough, and he's very tough at home. He's only walked all year in 70 innings, 5 guys. He's only given up 5 home runs all year, so he's not going to do a lot to help the Diamondbacks out. They're going to have to earn everything. He's also only walked 1 guy at home. He's only given up 1 home run at home all year. So you got a guy that's really good on the road. You got a guy that's really good at home. Should be very interesting.
First pitch is coming up next from PNC Park in Pittsburgh. It's D-backs baseball on Fox Sports Arizona. Your Valley Honda dealer, where you get more standard features for less money. Buy Jack in the Box and the Jumbo Jack, a home run for your mouth. Buy Gigablast Internet from Cox. Welcome to the gig life. And by State Farm. State Farm is here to help life go right. Talk to an agent today or call 1-800-STATE-FARM. The Allegheny, the Monongahela, and the Ohio, where the three rivers, as Beebe likes to say, conflude here in Pittsburgh. Partly sunny, very pleasant day today, 76 degrees. Diamondbacks trying to change their luck in this ballpark. They've lost 6 straight here and try to even at the same time their record on this road trip, get to 3-3 and hopefully get the offense back on track. Let's take a look at the lineup for Torey Lovello's Diamondbacks tonight. It's brought to you by your Valley Chevy dealers.
Well, we got Chris Owings leading off. David Peralta, the number 2 hole tonight. Paul Goldschmidt, followed by Jake Lamb, Yasmani Tomas, Brandon Drury at second base. Chris Herman behind the plate tonight. Fuentes out in center, and Robbie Ray on the mound.
Just about set to go here, but Candy, while we have a moment, let's take a look at your Valley Honda dealers key to the game.
We'll see. What do we got for the key of the game? Ice the Berg. How about that one?
Oh,
The reason I say that, the Diamondbacks have had some tough times here in Pittsburgh and at PNC Park. They've lost 6 out of their last 8. They've lost how many in a row? I forget how many in a row now, but
6 in a row.
6 in a row. So they have really struggled here. So you got to ice these guys, try to turn it around right now and start winning some series.
Well, they've got the right guy on the mound tonight, as we mentioned a moment ago. Robbie Ray with the best road ERA in the National League, but this place has been a house of horrors for the Diamondbacks. Remember, we played 3 here last May, and the Pirates swept that series, outscored the Diamondbacks 25-8. And now this year, coming off a real heartbreaker last night, we had a thrilling moment there from Chris Iannetta, and then Andrew McCutchen, the walk-off winner in the home half of the night.
Well, you talk about a series of emotions there. The way you're coming back, Chris Iannetta, and we'll get into the story of that, how that happened with Torey Lovullo, but hitting the huge home run, and let's not forget Daniel Descalzi getting the base hit to set that up, and then all of a sudden the swing of emotions when you're so high to give up a walk-off home run after that.
As it turned out, Chris Iannetta actually called his shot in the dugout, and as you mentioned, we'll get to that in a little bit over the course of the ball game tonight. Pirates take the field here at PNC Park. Let's tell you now about our Ram truck starter for Pittsburgh. It's Ivan Nova. A 5-3 record, a 2.83 ERA, that is 4th best in the National League. And you'll note here, Nova has as many walks this season as he's given up home runs, which is kind of amazing, only 5 each. Pitching very well this year. He's won his last 2 starts.
Yeah, he's very tough here at home. He's 3-1 at home. And at home, you know, you talked about he doesn't give up a lot of home runs, doesn't give up a lot of walks. Only 1 home run given up here at home. Only 1 walk given up here at home. So he's not going to help the D-backs out. They're going to have to earn everything they get, you know, and that goes with base hits, you know, stringing base hits together and trying to do little things. When you get those opportunities, you got to cash in.
Let's take a look at the Pirates defensively tonight. Our eye on defense for Pittsburgh, brought to you by Nationwide Vision Centers.
Well, the Pirates defensively have Harrison playing left field tonight, McCutchen in center, Osuna out in right for Polanco, who got hurt last night. David Freese over at third base, Mercer at short, Gopay out at second base, Josh Bell at first, behind the plate Cervelli, and on the mound is Ivan Nova.
Behind the plate tonight for the umpires, it's Eric Cooper. He'll have the balls and strikes. The crew chief is Gary Cederstrom. He's the first base ump. Gabe Morales at second, and Adrian Johnson is at third. Now, you mentioned Polanco. Fortunately, x-rays on Polanco's right ankle were negative, and so he's day-to-day right now. Could have been a whole lot worse. They did have to put their backup catcher Chris Stewart on the 10-day disabled list with a hamstring strain. So all things considered, that's a pretty optimistic diagnosis there for 2 key players for Clint Hurdle.
Boy, and especially when you talk about Polanco, here's a guy that they were, you know, he's hitting right in the middle of their lineup, and you know, he's one of those guys you expected to really take the next step this year and be, you know, part of that MVP, you know, talk. So, you know, he's a huge part of this Pirate offense.
So they're going to give him a couple of days, and hopefully he should be fine for the Pirates. Chris Owings back in the leadoff spot tonight. Second night in a row, CO has hit leadoff, and we're underway. Diamondbacks and Pirates. Robbie Ray versus Ivan Nova. Fastball in, and it's 1-0 on CO. Chris, 317, 6 home runs, 0 for 4 with a walk yesterday.
You know, we talk about the Pirates and how they like to pitch in.
Yeah.
You know, this year Nova's hit 2 guys, but last year he's hit 9 guys last year.
Bounce to third for David Freese. Spins and throws. Quickly 1 down.
CO hit it well, but Freese was right there, cut it off, made a nice play to get him.
Number 6,
David Peralta now. Doubled in last night's ball game. He's had back-to-back 2-hit games now, Peralta. Hitting .315 with 4 homers.
As we talked a little bit last night, he's a different hitter than what we've seen the last couple of years. How so? Power-wise, at time he has that power, but he's refined his stroke where he's willing to take the base hit the other way. He used to not be able to do that. He used to like to try to jerk the ball into the alley, or even down the right field line, trying to hit home runs when he was hitting in the number 4 spot. But right now, hitting in front of Goldie, you know, he's willing to get that base hit and get on base.
Yeah, and a lot of times to do that, he'll shoot one down the left field line, We saw him do that in Milwaukee for a base hit. And look how far off the line David Freese is at third. There's room over there. And David does indeed lift it the other way. Josh Harrison, left field corner. 2 outs.
Well, he was trying to do it that way again, trying to hit the ball and trying to get that base hit, trying to get on base for Goldie.
Well, Goldie versus Nova is advantage Diamondbacks. He's hitting .308 with 11 home runs on the year. He homered twice off Nova Mother's Day at Chase Field.
Like I said, this guy doesn't give up a whole lot of home runs, and Goldie's got 2 of them. And boy, they were not cheap either.
He's given up only 5 homers all year, Ivan Nova. Goldie has 2 of them. Here's a tapper to third. Easy play for Freese. And a very quick 1-2-3 first inning for Ivan Nova. Robbie Ray coming up from Pittsburgh when we come back. D-backs and Pirates set for the home half of the first inning. And your Ram truck starter for the Diamondbacks is the lefty Robbie Ray. 4-3 with a 3.45 ERA. Robbie just turned in his 2nd consecutive scoreless outing last Thursday in Milwaukee. Went at least 7 innings, Candy, for the 2nd start in a row.
Yeah, he's been excellent. He uses all 4 of his pitches, but when he's away from Chase Field, 3-1 with an 0.81 ERA, a 134 batting average against. I mean, that is just dealing.
Jordy Mercer moved up to the leadoff spot by Clint Hurdle tonight. And there's strike 1 from Robbie Ray. Mercer 3 hits yesterday. He had been struggling batting 8th in the order a lot recently, but rolling now. 15 hits in his last 31 at bats. So Hurdle has him leading off, but Robbie Ray's ahead 0-2.
It really looked like last night he was really trying to hit the ball the other way last night. You know, with Hurdle seeing that, and you got a guy that's throwing a lot of fastballs, probably on the outside part of the plate. He's kind of liking this matchup.
That fastball missed. It's a ball and 2 strikes. Mercer will barrel it up for line drives if you give him a hard fastball. He's a very good line drive hitter against mid-90s fastballs. Just about, in fact, the best in baseball this year. That average is really coming up. He was slumping in April. Much better in May.
And he's had some good success against Robbie in his career. He's 4 for 8 against him. So he's had some pretty decent success against him with eight at bats to talk about.
Well, he was a problem yesterday, Jordy Mercer. 3 hits, including a double. He scored a run. Called strike 3. Eric Cooper rings him up. Good start for Robbie Ray. 1 down. Let's take a look at the lineup for Pittsburgh. It's brought to you by your Valley Chevy dealers.
Well, we saw Jordy Mercer leading off, followed by Josh Harrison, who's coming up now. Josh Bell over at first base, followed by David Freese. Francisco Cervelli hitting after him. Andrew McCutchen hit the walk-off last night. Ozuna and Gope, and then Nova hitting 9th.
Josh Harrison. Always have to be alert for Harrison trying to bunt for base hits. He does that A whole lot more than 3 times the league average, in fact. 97 from Robbie Ray, and it's 0-1.
Robbie's feeling it right now. He's pumping it.
You like to see him create that very consistent and busy pace and tempo up there.
Boy, nice. I think that was the curveball that time. He will throw the curveball. He'll throw the slider also. In fact, this year his curveball percentage is up 15% compared to last year.
And Harrison chases a fastball down and away. Robbie Ray not messing around. 2 up, 2 strikeouts. Let's take a look at the Diamondbacks defense presented by Nationwide Vision Centers.
Well, you got Yasmani Tomas out in left field tonight. Fuentes out in center. Peralta in right field. There's your outfield. Lamb at third. Owings at short. Drury at second. Goldie, of course, at first. Behind the plate tonight, Chris Herman. And then on the mound, Robbie Ray.
Josh Bell batting third tonight. The switch hitting first baseman. Yes, he checks as Gary Cederstrom at first, and it's 1-0.
Kind of a contrast in pitchers tonight, really, with Robbie, who's averaging over 11 strikeouts per 9 innings, and Nova with less than 5 per 9 innings.
Hey, one guy who avoids contact, the other guy pitches to contact.
Exactly.
2-0 on Bell now. 0 for 2 with a couple of strikeouts yesterday. He did drive in a run with a sacrifice fly, Josh Bell. Hit this one up in the air, hit deep left field. Tomas just shy of the warning track. And he's got it. A nice quick 1-2-3 first with 2 strikeouts for Robbie Ray. No score in Pittsburgh.
Top of the second inning, there's no score, but a D-backs home run tonight means a free jumbo jack tomorrow at participating Jack-in-the-Box locations with the purchase of a large drink.
D-backs fans here with us in the Berg. Second of a 3-game set, getaway day game tomorrow afternoon here. Zach Godley will start that for the D-backs. Jake Lamb leads off the second against Ivan Nova. Not much of a shift for the Pirates against Lamb. Mercer, the shortstop, is behind the second base bag.
Jake 1 for 3 in his career against Nova. I kind of like the matchup with Jake against Nova.
Why so?
And the reason being that Nova likes to work down in the zone. He likes to throw the 2-seamer. He likes to generate ground balls. And to me, Jake Lamb, when you watch his hands are a little bit low. And that means he can get to that low pitch a lot better than a lot of hitters. Foul pitch to hit there.
Yeah, fastball 1-2 now. Jake singled yesterday, 1 for 4. He's got 4 hits on the road trip. He's doubled and homered so far. D-backs faced Ivan Nova at Chase Field Mother's Day. He gave up 3 runs, 9 hits. He went 6 innings. Did not get a decision in what turned out to be a 6-4 Pittsburgh win. Tied him up inside that time, right on the hands, and Lamb's the strikeout victim.
One of his rare strikeouts there, but this does the breaking ball, a curveball that goes down and in the dirt, fools Jake that time and swings right over the top of it.
Yasmani Tomas, who yesterday drove in the game's first run with a 2-out RBI single in the first inning. Yasmani at 248, 8 home runs.
Yasmani's been having a lot of very patient at bats, especially that last homestand at Chase Field.
Seems to have made a lot of progress in terms of plate discipline, patience up there.
I mean, he's trying to buy into what Dave Magadan wants and Tim Laker wants him to do. It's going to make him a better hitter, but it's a process.
And a good look at that Nova curveball on that pitch. This is on the ground as shortstop for Mercer. Already 3 ground ball outs for Ivan Nova. He's retired all 5 he's faced. Here comes Brandon Drury.
When you have a sinker ball pitcher out on the mound, usually the philosophy is if it's down low, let it go, because it's only going to go down more, going to generate the ground ball. So you have to stay very disciplined and bringing the ball up.
Brandon 0 for 4 yesterday. Had a 3-hit game in Milwaukee on Sunday. 292 on the year with 4 homers. Cervelli sets up down and away. That missed up and in, and it's 1-0. Brandon chasing a lot of fastballs away lately. He's chasing that pitch a lot more than the league average the last few weeks. And he's had trouble getting low fastballs effectively all season long. So Nova keeps it down, and it's 1-1.
Keeps missing his target, but getting away with it. You watch Cervelli sitting up on the outside part of the plate, but the ball seems to be coming back over the inside, and you can see why they're trying to challenge him outside. Brandon Drury is well off the plate. He's not crowding the plate at all. So as a pitcher, the first thing you look at, I think I could clip that outside corner on him.
Gonna walk this off a bit.
Coming right down, right off the instep of that front foot. Man, that hurts.
Does that happen a lot against sinker ball guys?
Yeah, all the time. I wouldn't be surprised to see him come down and in again, trying to get the same kind of result.
Third base, nice stop by Freeze down there. Gets up and throws him out. Already 4 ground ball outs for Ivan Nova. Diamondbacks and Pirates, no score.
early day for players and coaches as Taijuan Walker, who's been on the 10-day DL with a blister on his index finger, he threw a simulated game here today. It went well. 60 pitches. He threw it with the bandage on for the first inning, and then he took it off because, of course, in a regular game he wouldn't be able to have any kind of protection on that finger, but he was able to throw his changeup, which is a key for him, and he feels if all goes well and it continues to look pretty healthy that he could start Sunday in Miami. Now, Randall Delgado, guys, will start Saturday. That was confirmed today by Torey Lovullo. That means everybody else will get essentially 2 extra days before their next start.
That's right, Jody. Thanks. So you've got Delgado scheduled to go Saturday at Marlins Park as David Freese leads off the bottom of the second. And hopefully Taijuan Walker in that road trip finale on Sunday. So you've got the off day scheduled Monday as well when we finally get back home. So Torey's figured out a way to get some guys in the rotation 1 day off, some even 2 days off, Candy, an extra rest after the first 2 months of the year. Always welcome news.
Well, especially when you start seeing guys, getting up in that 70 to 80, inning range in there. It's kind of nice to kind of give them a breather a little bit, miss a start, or, just kind of get it delayed a little bit. It goes a long ways.
Jake Lamb at third. Is there a point in the year somewhere in the first third of the season where the pitchers kind of go through a little dead arm phase?
Yeah, we were talking about that with Torey, and for me, when I played in my generation, it always seemed to be like around 80 innings to like about 100 innings, somewhere in there, that it seemed like, oh, my arm's getting a little bit dead right now. And it's all, you go out there sometimes and you get racked in about 3 innings, you're out of there. It seems like you recover quicker on a bad outing, or if you can miss a start sometimes, or even have one of those outings where you don't have much, that many pitches that you throw. Seems to kind of go a long way to recover.
Is it similar to we always hear dead arm phase in spring training?
I don't remember ever having that, but I know you get that little fatigue, especially when you start trying to introduce your breaking ball as much as you can. It seems like it takes a little bit more out of your arm, a little bit more out of your shoulder.
Well, anytime you can get these guys an extra day or two, hopefully it pays off down the road. Here's Francisco Cervelli, the catcher. Taps that one to first for Goldie. 5 up, 5 down for Robbie Ray.
And innings like this are great for Robbie because it really preserves the amount of pitches that he throws. You get some quick, easy outs, and it feels like you don't even throw. It feels like you just bought yourself an inning right there.
And it takes a lot of pitches to strike guys out. He's striking out 9, 10, 11 a game. That's work.
Yeah, and then you can keep yourself in the game a lot longer. This generation here, guys are kind of built to strike guys out. You want swing and miss guys. The less contact you give up, the less hits you're going to give up. But it's nice having those quick, real easy innings and get 3 ground balls and get out of there.
Good fastball there into Andrew McCutchen, last night's walk-off hero. McCutchen walked, homered, scored twice yesterday. He's homered twice now in his last 3 games, in fact. This was McCutchen yesterday to win it after the Diamondbacks had tied it in the top half of the 9th on the Chris Iannetta homer. McCutchen takes Archie Bradley the other way for the walk-off home run. It was the 6th walk-off homer of his career. That's tied for the most in Pirates history with Ralph Kiner and Willie Stargell. It's a pretty good list. 215, now 8 homers. He leads the Pirates with those 24 RBIs. Knocks that one into center. McCutchen, since he dropped his 6th in the order on Friday to open up their series against the Mets, has really responded well.
Really has. He got a fastball. This one's a little bit down in the zone this time, and he was all over it. He was looking hard, stopped, and got one, and just drove it right back where it came from.
The game's first base runner, McCutchen at first base. 2 down for Jose Osuna, the right fielder. 231, 3 home runs. Osuna doubled and scored a run yesterday. Had a couple of hits after taking over in right field when Gregory Polanco was injured. And there's ball 1. Osuna has just 18 hits all year, but half of them are for extra bases, so he's got some pop.
This is him on the right side of the infield too. Robbie usually likes working on the outside part of the plate, but usually up in the zone.
Yeah, Drury is right near that second base bag. Goldie holding McCutchen on at first, so there is a lot of room over there. But Osuna will chase hard fastballs up and out of the strike zone. Not a lot of plate discipline here, so Robbie may get him to chase a couple of hard fastballs. Bounces it indeed right side, but Drury gets over there for the outfield grass and throws him out. We'll head to the third at PNC Park. No score. And the Pirates say, fans, if you can't watch the games on TV, then stream them live on your mobile device with Fox Sports Go. It's presented by your Valley Honda dealers. Just download the app, take Fox Sports Arizona and your D-backs with you wherever you go. We're in the third. Chris Herman leads it off against Ivan Nova, and the Pirates put the shift on. 3 infielders on the right-hand side. Chris gets the start tonight behind the plate, catching Robbie Ray. Nova so far has set down all 6. He's faced 4 ground ball outs. You see the shortstop Mercer on the first base side of second.
Well, you know, as an infielder, when he's on the mound, you're on your toes all the time. Know that you get action on any pitch.
There's another ground ball right back to the mound, and Nova has retired 7 straight to open things up.
He entered the bat that time, and just an easy ground ball right back to Nova.
Well, I'd like to see Ray Fuentes find a gap here in this ballpark and turn on the Jets going around the bases. Ray had 133 on the year. He started 2 games in center field in Milwaukee, went 1 for 8 in that series.
Well, you can tell that Noah feels very, very comfortable pitching in his home ballpark.
Yeah.
I mean, he is coming out throwing a lot of strikes. You see a lot of late movement on his 2-seamer going down. And as a hitter, you just have to, if it's low, you almost have to let it go. It's easier said than done.
Nova was the National League's pitcher of the month in April, and he's lost only once in May, unbeaten in his last 4 starts. And he just pounds away at that strike zone. He wants you to hit the ball. He'll throw a fastball more than 70% of the time. Half the time it's that heavy sinker. And he still mixes in a curveball pretty consistently, the occasional changeup. Just like that, swing and a miss, and Fuentes is his 2nd strikeout victim, 2 down.
His fastball percentage is a little bit up this year, but that's the curveball, and it just falls off the table. The key to that is that it starts in the strike zone and then breaks down out of the strike zone.
Yeah, that's a sharp breaker right there. Well, we know Robbie Ray can swing the bat. D-backs looking for their first hit the first time through the order. Pretty good numbers there for Robbie. 7 for 21 on the year. Right back to the glove. Now with Von Nova, 9 up, 9 down. He's rolling a lot of ground balls here. No score. Diamondbacks and the Pirates.
And the pitch.
Bryce
And
Harper
he
of the
hits Harper.
Nationals charges the mound after Hunter Strickland, who was still ticked off about some homers in the postseason that Harper hit against him 3 years ago. Let it go already. Starts this bench clearing brawl at AT&T Park, and the justice was handed down today from baseball's high court. We'll get to that in just a second. Gift Ngope, the Pirates second baseman, leads off the third against Robbie Ray.
Nothing like an old baseball fight.
Harper got 4 games and Hunter Strickland got 6.
So let's figure that out again. Now, how many innings will that be if he pitches?
Buster only tweeted that out. If you think, okay, you're a relief pitcher and you're suspended 6 games, so that's probably 3 innings that the Giants lose if you do the math based on the way he'd appear, pitch 1 inning at a time. Where Harper, if he gets 4 games, that's like 35, 36 at bats. Doesn't quite seem fair for the guy.
And he's the guy that got plunked.
He's also got to charge the mound. But Strickland, was really upset about some homers that Harper hit against him in the playoffs in 2014, for crying out loud.
2.5 years ago.
And there's been a lot of discussion as Ngope strikes out about, and Candy, I'd like to get your take on this, about Buster Posey standing behind home plate and just sort of watching it happen and letting Harper charge the mound as we take a look at T-Mobile's unlimited baseball break. Harper gets the suspension. Chris Sale faces the White Sox's old team for Boston today. And how about this? Mike Trout, after that headfirst slide the other night, torn ligament in his left thumb. He'll have surgery. He's out 2 months.
Oh, that's a big blow right there to the Angels.
2 months
all baseball too.
Without Mike Trout. And that's why Torey Lovullo has outlawed headfirst slides for the Diamondbacks.
It's a great idea.
Nova fouls that one off, and Robbie's ahead 0-2. But what about Posey? Kind of just, if we can show that again, Guy, Brad, and Phil in the truck, can we show that mound charge again when we get an out or something? And take a look at Buster Posey, the catcher. He's just sort of a innocent bystander there. 97 blows away Nova. So watch the Giants catcher when Harper decides to charge the mound. Now the catcher's supposed to try and tackle the guy, right? Prevent him from getting to the pitcher's line.
Always get in the middle and just key right on Buster Posey and what he does when we show that clip, because he just stands there and watches.
Now, are you cool with that or not?
Well, depending on what had happened and what had been said, and you were telling me that Buster Posey had gone out the pitch before
Here it is. Now watch the catcher.
He knows he's going to hit him. See his body language. He just stands there. A helmet's thrown. He's still standing there. And then a couple punches. And now he's going to run out and maybe grab somebody. And okay.
You just got the sense that Posey said, okay, dude, I told you not to do this. Now deal with it.
Yeah, well,
I'm not helping.
There's lots of talk going on in the dugout. And I'm sure he said, look, if I get a chance, I'm going to get this guy. And so Buster probably said, why? You know, why are you going to get him?
It was 3 years ago.
Right. And so that's why he's probably standing there. And you saw his body language when he got up. Just kind of tilted sideways, hands on his hips, right? He goes, he got him. Go get him. Go ahead. Go get him.
Did you really need to do that?
Yeah.
So it's, that was the big fracas. A word that I never try and use the other day. Ground ball to shortstop for CO, and Robbie Ray has got a 1-2-3 third. Will quickly head to the fourth. Moving along here in Pittsburgh. No score.
Inning. But anytime the D-backs score 5 runs or more, Taco Bell is giving away 3 free tacos with the purchase of a large drink between 4 and 6 p.m. the following day at participating locations.
Well, runs have been hard to come by on this D-backs road trip, and that's been the case again so far. The first time through the order against Pirates starter Ivan Nova, who has retired all 9 Diamondbacks he's faced. So the leadoff man Chris Owings leads off the 4th. Torrey was talking to us about that before the game today. The offense on the road, you know, day games has not been great this year. Road games has not been great this year. He felt like, you know, yesterday they played the Diamondbacks like they had life. You know, they came back. Descalso got that big hit. Iannetta hit the home run, tied it up. But as Torrey said, we just got clipped there at the end of the game by the McCutchen walk-off.
Well, especially when you build that momentum. 2 outs, nobody on. Descalso battles, gets a base hit. Iannetta, who basically calls his shot and then does it, hits the home run.
CO drives one deep right center field. Osuna has it just shy of the wall out there. 10 up, 10 down. Yeah, apparently, while the Diamondbacks were in the field in the bottom of the 8th inning, Torrey was in the dugout trying to figure out, okay, top 9, you know, who's going to hit for who. And he was sort of talking out loud, and Iannetta was beside him and said, well, let me hit because I'll get the kind of hit where I can just jog around the bases. And Torrey said, oh, okay, then you're hitting.
Hey, once you hear that as a manager,
right,
you're not going to say no.
So he hit Descalso for Jeff Mathis, hoping Descalso would get on base. Then Iannetta would be the tying run at the plate. And sure enough, Daniel with 2 outs, singled to right. And Iannetta, who pretty much guaranteed he would hit a home run, hit a home run. And came back to the dugout and told Torrey, I told you.
In so many words.
Yeah, it was quite a moment for Chris. And that's on this road trip now twice where he's hit 2 out 9th inning homers to tie the ball game. Did it Friday in Milwaukee and last night here in Pittsburgh. Unbelievable.
And that's why it just hurts so much when you had all that momentum going at that time, and then boom, McCutchen turns it all around on you.
And they got clipped at the end, as he put it. Chris is the first player in baseball, Chris Iannetta, with multiple 2-out 9th inning game-tying home runs since 2007. First guy ever to do it in Diamondback history. So nobody had done that, what Chris Iannetta has done on this road trip, in a decade.
Tell me he's feeling it.
Peralta hits it hard, but right at Mercer, the shortstop. Another ground ball out for Ivan Nova, who's retired all 11 he's faced.
He's just really been a strike machine. I mean, he's coming right after guys. What's that, 30 pitches thrown, what, 22 strikes, I think?
Yeah, 22. Well, Goldie homered off Nova twice at Chase Field earlier this month. Rounded out his first time up tonight. Goldie drives one deep right center field. Osuna in the corner there, and it dies just shy of the warning track. He gave it a ride, but it's another 1-2-3 inning for Ivan Nova. No score in Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh, no score. Fans, June 15th is when the U.S. Open gets going, just outside Milwaukee, Wisconsin, at the beautiful golf course Erin Hills, where Dustin Johnson looks to defend his U.S. Open title. The 117th U.S. Open starts June 15th on Fox, on FS1, and streaming live on Fox Sports Go. Josh Harrison, who struck out his first time up, leads off the fourth against Robbie Ray. First pitch swinging. Fly ball center field. Ray Fuentes broke back, has to come in now, and it drops behind him. And Harrison pulls up at second. Fuentes got a late break, came running in, and the ball dropped about 30 feet behind him.
I don't know if I've seen that before. He must have lost the ball thinking that it wasn't hit very hard, so he comes running in. And a lot of times when that happens, the first thing you look for is for somebody to give you a help. You look for a point somewhere. You look for your right fielder, your left fielder, something. He's come sprinting in, realizes the ball's well over his head. Peralta, to his credit, is on his horse. He's getting all the way over there to get that ball and keep Harrison to second base.
Tough break for Robbie Ray. He's going to have to pick up his defenders now. The first baseman, Josh Bell.
Normally, when you see a guy lose a ball like that, he just freezes. You don't see him running one way or the other unless he actually sees the flight of the ball going to his left or to his right.
Scored a double for Harrison. It's a light sky right now. You've got some cloud cover overhead. The lights are obviously on here, but still some blue sky. A little tricky up there. Big swing and a miss by Bell, and it's 1-1.
Oh, great slider, maybe a curveball that time, but really broke down and in hard. Once you see a hitter swing like that, you want to come back to that when you got a chance to punch him out.
Bell has had a quiet bat lately. 3 for his last 27 up there. Fastball chopped to the first base side for Goldie. Harrison in at third, 1 away.
Well, he got the job done. Bell did that time. Hit the ball to the right side to be able to get Harrison over to third base.
Now here's David Freese, the cleanup man tonight. Grounded out to third his first time up against Robbie Ray.
2 for 6 in his career against Robbie, but this is where Robbie's looking for the punch out. 1 out, guy on third base.
This is a guy who hits lefties pretty well, David Freese. 40 pitches for Robbie Ray, 26 strikes. Fastball is in there, and it's 0-1. David Freese hitting less than 190 in his last 16 games ever since he came back from a right hamstring strain suffered near the end of April. He missed about 3 weeks. And the bat, since he's come back, has been slow to come around. Can't check his swing, and it's 0-2.
A good curveball that time. Saw Herman call for the deuce, sitting up on the outside corner trying to backdoor him. And Robbie gets it down in the dirt, gets a swing and a miss.
The off-speed stuff for Robbie Ray has been very effective lately. Just keeping hitters off that fastball, the changeup, and the curveball. Really throwing those 2 pitches effectively. And when he needs that big fastball, slows down the bats even more. Spikes one there. Nice block by Herman.
Almost looked like a changeup that he threw that time. Just kind of put it right into the dirt, but a nice block, like you said, by Herman. Keeps that ball right in front of him.
Well, Robbie for years is trying to develop a consistent changeup. He's toyed around with different grips. He just never quite got it. And so this year he's been throwing that curveball almost with the same effect as a changeup. But Freese chases a fastball down and away. 5 strikeouts for Robbie Ray. 2 down.
This ball, this has all kinds of life on it. It just moves off the plate away. It's hard, but it's got some life to it. Really locks Freese up.
A big strikeout there. 2 down now for the catcher Francisco Cervelli.
Yeah, that's a huge strikeout. The guy on third base, less than 2 outs.
Enormous. Trying to strand that leadoff double. Harrison at third, 2 down. Cervelli grounded out his first time up. Pirates today had to put their backup catcher Chris Stewart on the 10-day disabled list. It's a left hamstring strain. He suffered on that 2-run triple yesterday. Elias Diaz was called up from AAA Indianapolis. Cervelli's a tough guy to jam inside with fastballs. He's usually able to fight those off and put it into play.
Guy that usually makes contact.
Yeah. Bounced a slider up there. Harrison stays at third, and it's 2-0. Got McCutchen on deck.
Let's say, I don't know if you really want to pitch around this guy, given the fact that McCutchen seems to really be swinging a hot bat right now.
He singled his first time up. He's got the game's only hit after that Harrison double, which counts as a double, but technically Robbie should be out of the inning. Boy, just powered up with that fastball, and it's 2-1.
And he's not throwing that down the middle of the plate either. That's great location on that fastball. Just off the plate away, but just flirting with that outside edge.
Seems like it's almost tailing away from the right-hand hitters.
Yeah, it's got some life to it. Got some hops.
Going back down there. Boy, same pitch at 97. They just cannot catch up to it.
Well, not only is it hard, but the location is really, really efficient.
Now the question becomes, how often do you go to the well?
Well, I mean, he's got him looking away right now, and I think if you bury the slider down and in, give him a chance to swing over the top, but don't leave it over the plate. Looks like they're going to go outside with the fastball.
Right by him. Robbie Ray blows away Freese and Cervelli. He's got 6 strikeouts. He strands Harrison and keeps it scoreless. middle of this Pirate lineup. He's got 6 strikeouts through 4 innings, no score here in Pittsburgh. Fans, MLB.TV Premium is back, and it's better than ever. You can watch every out-of-market game live on over 400 supported devices and get a free subscription to At Bat Premium, which is the #1 app for all live baseball. Blackout and other restrictions apply, so check out MLB.TV for all the details. Scoreless in the 5th. Diamondbacks have yet to get a base runner on there against Ivan Nova, who's been perfect through 4. 7 ground ball outs. He's got 2 strikeouts.
Yeah, he's been, I mean, this is a pitcher's duel going on right now. Robbie Ray has been excellent, and Nova is really kind of setting the tone. So you know, when you see this guy go out as the opposing pitcher and he's getting easy outs, he's not giving up any hits at all, you got to be just as good.
Well, the Diamondbacks in the top of the 4th inning did hit 2 balls to pretty deep right center field, one by Owings and one by Goldie. The 12 up, 12 down so far. Jake Lamb leads off the 5th. Jake struck out his first time up.
Well, sometimes hitting, you can almost get suffocated by a guy that's just continually pounding the strike zone on you. He's mixing his pitches up, but everything he throws is strikes. He's coming right at you, and you know as a hitter, man, I got to put the ball in play here.
He's made 10 starts this year, Ivan Nova, and he's walked only 5 batters all season long.
And he's only walked 1 guy at home. 1 guy.
Really, really good. And he works so well with Francisco Cervelli behind the plate, keeping the ball down with that sinker and curveball. Occasional changeup. Cervelli is an outstanding pitch framer. Just missed away, because they really have a philosophy here in Pittsburgh with the pitching coach Ray Searage. Keep the ball below the knees, and Nova and Cervelli both excel at that. Because as Nova has said, it doesn't have to be a strike, it just has to look like one. And Lamb is the Diamondbacks' first base runner, a leadoff single.
He got a mistake that time. Watch exactly where he throws this pitch. Cervelli wants the ball down. Nova leaves it up. Lamb makes a pay. The target's down. That ball comes up in the zone, and Nova knew it right away. That ball was spanked to center.
Yasmani Tomas grounded out his first time up.
This is where you try to stay inside the baseball here. You don't want to roll over the top of one and knock into a double play.
Tomas jumps on the first pitch and pops it up to Mercer at shortstop. One out for Brandon Drury.
We've seen Brandon Drury pound that right center field gap at times. We noticed already in this game, looks like he's a little bit off the plate, striding into the pitch. So if he gets a ball middle away, he could shoot it that way. And with the little shift that the Pirates have on, there's a big hole in the right side of the infield.
And Gope, the second baseman, near the second base bag. Bell holding Lamb on the base at first. Then he hits a roller right to Freeze at third, and Gope for 1, and they turn the double play. 9 ground ball outs for sinker ball specialist Ivan Nova. No score in Pittsburgh.
Score in this game. Let's take a look back in baseball history presented by Geico. On this date, May 30th, 1970, fans using new computerized punch cards as ballots once again select the all-star squads for the first time in 12 years. The fans start getting the vote.
Those computers, they'll never catch on.
What do you think?
I remember as a kid getting those ballots, and you sit there at the game at Fenway Park, and you need a pencil, you just poke them out. You'd have those little squares of paper all over everything.
It's like you're taking a test, right?
Yeah.
SAT test.
Well, that didn't go too well. McCutchen singled his first time up, one of 2 Pirates hits against Robbie Ray.
I think that's great when you have to go to the ballpark to vote.
Yeah, now it's more of a popularity contest than ever. Vote a million times. McCutchen hammers one down the left field line, but he hooked it foul.
Long ways. But long foul ball.
Well, McCutchen took his walk-off homer yesterday as a positive sign, and why wouldn't he? But the thing that he liked was, about a week ago he said he probably would not have been able to do that, get a fastball out over the plate and drive it out the other way for a home run like he did off Archie Bradley. The sun is setting and reflecting on the office buildings on the other side of the river here. A lovely night in Pittsburgh, PA.
Really is a nice night. Little cloud cover. Hoping those clouds don't hang around tomorrow.
Well, Leo Gilmartin, our radio engineer, has assured me there will be no rain delay tomorrow.
That's scary.
Yeah, it is. 9:35 in the morning, first pitch, Arizona time tomorrow. 12:35 local for Zach Godley in the getaway day game. Then it's off to Miami. The forecast tomorrow is not super great, so we'll hope for the best. 3-2 on McCutchen. McCutchen's hit safely in 5 straight games. Yesterday, the 4th game in a row in which he's hit 6th in the batting order. Our crew here is always ready for inclement weather.
Umbrellas out.
McCutchen hits it hard, but right at Chris Owings, 2 down. That was on a rope right to shortstop.
I'll tell you what, he is really squaring some balls up right now.
Starting to come around for him, that's for sure. 4 in a row set down by Robbie Ray. Here's the right fielder, Jose Osuna. Osuna grounded out in his first at bat tonight.
We are a long ways away from the field, but we can still hear Robbie Ray grunt. I mean, he has got it going.
He's max effort out there, but we talked about this the last couple of starts with Robbie. As long as he's not taking too much time between pitches, he's maintained that steady tempo, that steady pace, and you can see him. It really, Candy, it seems, helps him kind of get in the zone and create those big rolls where he just starts mowing guys down.
Yeah, I think it also helps the concentration level. When you get the ball that quick, gets right on you. Tom Browning used to talk about that. He used to be one of the quickest guys ever. Get the ball, throw the ball. Get the ball, throw the ball. You have one thing to do: hit the catcher's glove. It really worked out for him.
And Robbie was a guy who used to get the ball back and kind of stroll around the mound and, fidget with the baseball in his glove, and he could see him thinking about what to do. There's a hard fastball in there to ring up Osuna. Now 7 strikeouts. He does not do that anymore. He gets it and throws it.
He really worked on his cadence, and it's really paying off for him.
Sure.
And really, when you think about things, what you can do, what you can control as a pitcher, and that's hitting the catcher's glove and becoming the best fielder you can become. You can't control where they hit the ball. You can't control if the ball's caught or not, but you can control hitting the catcher's glove. And the more times you do that, the better pitches you make, and the better results you're going to get. You have to make this game simple as you can.
Well, you and I excel at that. A couple of simpletons up here. And Gope. Quickly, it's 0-2.
I don't think he's even going to mess around with Gope right now.
I mean, the numbers tell you, why would you? Here it is, hit it. Blows him away. Robbie Ray has retired 6 in a row. He's got 8 strikeouts through 5. No score in Pittsburgh. The rain of Von Nova scoreless through 5. Hey, D-backs fans, don't forget to stop by your local Fry's food stores and stock up on your favorite Pepsi products. Using your VIP card, you'll earn D-backs rewards points, and you could also win one of 6 suites to an upcoming D-backs game, courtesy of Pepsi. See the in-store display for official rules and details. Chris Herman leads off the 6th against Von Nova. Diamondbacks only 1 hit so far. Jake Lamb singled to lead off the 5th. Nova's had that sinker curveball working, a lot of ground ball outs.
That big double play to end the inning last inning on Brandon Drury. See if the D-backs can string some hits together.
Well, there's another first pitch strike from Von Nova. Through 5 innings, Nova had thrown a first pitch strike to 11 of 15 batters.
He's only thrown 39 pitches.
The amazing thing is, yeah, no innings yet with double-digit pitches. It's incredible. Not over 10 anyway. .40 pitches, 29 strikes. He didn't go, says Adrian Johnson. Pirates again shift against Herman. David Freese, the only defender on the left-hand side of the infield. Herman skies one deep left center field. McCutchen getting over there in front of the notch. And it's allowed out number 1.
A lot of room out that way in the ballpark. Goes all the way back to 410 feet. There's a little V back there by the bullpen area.
Deepest part of the ballpark right there, left center field. The notch here at PNC Park. Ray Fuentes, a strikeout victim in his first at bat. You can see why Nova goes so deep into these ball games, and looking at this pitch count, which is through 5 1/3, only hit 43 pitches. He's thrown already 2 complete games this year, including 1 shutout. Look at that. Single-digit pitches in every inning so far. Fuentes spanks one the other way, a 1-out single. Second hit for the D-backs against Nova.
Boy, that's nicely done there in the number 8 hole, hitting right in front of the pitcher. Well, you get on base there, and that enables Robbie Ray to put down a bunt, get a guy in scoring position, so you create opportunities.
Freese will come in on the grass at 3rd. Josh Bell, a converted outfielder. Keep that in mind, holding Fuentes on the bag at 1st. Bell still learning how to play the position over there.
Nova's given up 3 stolen bases this year. No caught stealings yet. But again, if you get a jump, you get a read on him, you want to try to attack him that way. Try to stay away from a ground ball double play.
All depends on Dave McKay. If Dave has something on a pitcher, generally they're successful. Can't get the bunt down that time.
When you're bunting as a pitcher, really anybody, but particularly for a pitcher, you always want to set the bat at the very top of the strike zone. You never want to jab up, so you always set the bat at the very top. And then when you go down, if it's a pitch is down, you come down with your knees. Don't come down with your hands, because that you'll pop the ball up. So you get the bat out front, set it at the top of the strike zone, so you know that that ball's above your hands. Then you just let it go. You got to take it.
Drops it down in front of the plate. Cervelli, no play at 2nd. And Fuentes moves along, 2 outs.
Boy, great bunt that time. Just deadened it right out in front of the plate. The only play that Cervelli had was at first base. Now you got a guy in scoring position.
For Chris Owings, who's 0 for 2.
Creates opportunities. Base hit gives you a run here.
Each team now with only 2 hits.
Seo his last at bat, hit the ball well. Line shot out towards right field.
Jose Osuna caught it just shy of the wall out there. almost threw that one to the backstop. It's 1-0. This will be the first time in the ball game. Keep in mind it's already the 6th inning that Nova has thrown more than 9 pitches in 1 inning. Pitch number 10 in the inning on the way. He is just a model of efficiency, Ivan Nova. Last start was a win in Atlanta Thursday. He went 8 1/3 innings in a win over the Braves. When his start prior to that went 7 1/3. He beat the Phillies here at PNC Park. He goes very deep into games. It's not a bullpen night when Nova's out there. Behind on Owings, 2-0. Co taps it foul just by third. A lot of time Nova against some of these right-hand hitters trying to sneak that sinking 2-seam fastball back over the plate and get ground balls. He'll use that fastball out and usually the natural movement toward the outside corner, Candy, and as you know, then just sneaks back in and catches that corner for a strike.
Yeah, you get that little comebacker.
So you're almost forced to chop at it down and away and either swing and miss or hit a little weak ground ball. He got it in, and CO belts it deep left center field. Harrison won't get there. It's off the wall. Fuentes jogs in. Owings stops at second with an RBI double, and it's 1-0 Diamondbacks. That was toasted off the bat of Chris Owings.
What was it ever? That was a fastball, but coming a little bit on the inside part of the plate. And CO just got the head of the bat right to the ball. Just almost dropped the head on it and shot that ball down the deepest part of the field out there. Hit the bottom of the wall. Well, that's how far that ball was hit.
Fuentes scored easily. A 2-out RBI double by Chris Owings gives the Diamondbacks the lead. Here's David Peralta.
Going to give the assist there to Robbie Ray, getting that bunt down. This year with runners in scoring position, Ivan Nova had .304 average batting average against. So he has not excelled in those situations. He's excelled everywhere else, it seems like.
Any reason for that? Is it just not comfortable pitching in the stretch?
Hard to say. You know, we talked to many hitting coaches, managers. You know, what makes a guy a good hitter with runners in scoring position? Same with pitchers.
Easy fly ball from McCutchen. But Chris Owings steps up. Gives Robbie Ray a 1-0 lead.
Allegheny River here, of course, right outside PNC Park. And Jody Jackson, Steve Berthume, Tom Candiotti. Guys, I know you don't see any kayaks out there, but kayaking is one of my favorite activities when you come here. Unfortunately, though, the river's a little high because I was all set to make a reservation for 3 kayaks for us out there. And unfortunately, it's not going to happen. At least it didn't happen today. And that's why we don't see any of the kayaks that we normally do right now. A lot of rain and the river's high right now.
Yeah, good luck with that.
I'd like to see Jody out there in a kayak.
I will be standing on terra firma when you guys take to the river. Ivan Nova, a leadoff single against Robbie Ray. So the pitcher's aboard. Here's the leadoff man, Jordy Mercer. 0 for 2 so far.
Used to see a lot of boats going over that bridge, paddle boats, kayaks, wave runners.
There's a lot on Memorial Day here yesterday. And you have the paddle boats, the touring paddle boats that go up and down the river pretty frequently.
Beautiful shot of the Roberto Clemente Bridge.
And there's a lot of bridges here. I mean, it's just as you look around, you can see almost a dozen, in fact. Well, Robbie Ray's got the leadoff single now behind on Mercer 2-0.
He's down at 3 ground ball double plays this year.
There's that fastball in there for a strike, and it's 2-1. Mercer's had a hot bat lately, hitting better than .370 over his last 14 games. Moved up to the leadoff spot tonight. Another fastball right by. They just can't touch that fastball.
It's electric.
It sure is.
I mean, the velocity, of course, is great, but it's got some hops to it. It's got life to it. And he's really trusting it.
Yeah, you can see the conviction in the body language. Well, Robbie, I mean, he should feel pretty good about himself anyway. 2 starts ago, a win at San Diego. Gave up only 2 hits and 7 2/3 scoreless. And then last week he opened up the road trip in Milwaukee with 7 more shutout innings, gave up only 2 hits and had 9 strikeouts. He's punched out 8 so far tonight.
I think we're right in the midst of seeing Robbie really taking the next step.
Yeah. Sure looks that way. Just off the glove. We'll see if CO can turn it. Drury's there. Well, you called it, Candy. Double play ball. Quickly 2 down.
I didn't call him for the little nick off of Robbie Ray's glove, though, but luckily he didn't slow it down that much. Right back to him, hits his glove, ticks it, but that's a nice little 6-1-6-4-3.
Quickly turned by Brandon Drury there. They just do get Mercer at first. So base is empty, 2 down for Josh Harrison. Harrison hit an easy, lazy fly ball to center field that Ray Fuentes misjudged. It dropped in for a double his last time up. One of the 3 Pirates hits against Robbie Ray. Clint Hurdle, with Gregory Polanco injured last night, has moved some pieces around. Josh Harrison making only his 3rd start this year in left field tonight. Didn't play left at all last year. And Jose Osuna is in right, replacing Polanco, who suffered that right ankle sprain colliding with a fence yesterday. On a plane, it's 2-1. X-rays, fortunately for Polanco, were negative. Certainly looked a lot worse. He had to be carted off the field. And as you can see in the corners here in the outfield, there is literally almost no foul ground.
It's tough for an outfielder. Corner outfielder, especially when you're going for a ball like that. You almost have to train yourself to slide, because otherwise you're going to bang into that wall. You can get your foot stuck underneath like he did.
Gotta be aware of that. This is an easy fly ball for Peralta in right field. And Robbie Ray is through 6 innings with a 1-0 lead. He's given up only 3 hits.
D-backs winning this game 1-0. The day after every D-backs win, get 50% off all pizzas at regular menu price using promo code DBacks50 at papajohns.com.
7th inning already here at PNC Park. Diamondbacks lead the Pirates 1-0. Chris Owings RBI double off of Von Nova, the game's only run so far, and Paul Goldschmidt, who's been hacking early up there against Von Nova, leads off the 7th.
Nova's not messing around this game.
Didn't get a chance to hit that one. It's 1-0. Dave Magadan is talking about this the other day. He said Goldie, when he's getting pitches to drive early in the count, he's taking chances on them. And we've certainly seen that a lot, Candy. Very aggressive, very early in counts, oftentimes swinging at the first pitch up there.
Well, the object of every at bat, right, is to get a good pitch to hit. And sometimes it's the first pitch. They kind of know what Nova throws. They've already faced him one time at Chase Field. So there's no need to wait around and see what he's got.
But it's interesting that Goldie, I would say last 3 weeks or so at least, has had this approach where he's been super aggressive early in the counts, but despite that he's still leading the major leagues in walks. So he's still getting his bases on balls. Takes a 3-0 there for a strike. There's Mags.
Hardest working pitcher coach around, or hitting coach I should say.
He's got some good hitters. Ooh.
How about that pitch? That looked outside off the plate to me.
Eric Cooper called it a strike. It's full 3-2. Goldie's bat a little quiet lately. 1 hit in his last 4 games. 0 for 2 so far tonight. Drives that one deep right field. Osuna's at the track, at the wall. And it's off the wall. Goldie has a double. 13th double this year for Paul Goldschmidt.
Well, what a great at bat by Goldie that time. He worked the count, he got ahead, got a pitch he could hit. But the important thing to me is that he didn't roll over. He shot the ball the other way. He's got tremendous power to right field, right center field, and just blistered that ball.
Now the umpires are huddling up here to have a look. It's a very light sky right now. It's hard to see, frankly. And where did it hit? Did it get over? Did it bounce off a seat and come back over the fence?
It almost looked like it hit that rail way up on the top.
And they will, on a boundary call, use an umpire review.
I think this is one of those calls you just have to slow down and see. Because real time, it's hard to tell.
Now managers can request a review, but they cannot challenge a boundary call like this, a home run. But almost every time when there's even a little bit of doubt, the umpires will get on the headsets and talk to New York.
Yep, all about trying to get the call right. I think it's a great rule.
Yeah. Home run rulings or reviews are subject to unlimited reviews at the discretion of the crew chief. In this case, Gary Cedarstrom, the first base umpire on the left there. I think it went off one of the seats or the railing. It's hard to get a really close look because the camera positions here are so high up.
Yeah, I think that's one of those ones that you have to slow down, almost stop to see, but we're so far away.
Yeah, we're way up high. Well, here's the best angle we think we've got. Let's see. Off the railing.
Off that rail. I'm not sure what the ground rules are with that rail.
Different in every park. Well, you see the yellow line right there. I'm just going to take a guess and say that's it. On top of the railing, it appears to have hit right off that yellow.
They're taking a long time to try to figure this one out.
Good, because it's hard to tell.
Yeah.
And the Diamondbacks, with the way Robbie Ray is pitching tonight, you can just get another run or two here. You feel pretty good about your chances. Well, here we go. It's a double for Goldie.
And I wonder if they really saw that or they just couldn't tell. Goldie with a big smile on his face.
It might just have to clear that railing. The other part could be the ground rule.
Yeah.
The call on the field is confirmed, they're telling us now. So they are confirming the correct call of a double for Goldie. So he's at second to lead off the 7th, his 13th double of the year. And the batter is Jake Lamb, who singled his last time up. Jake drops one into center. Goldie had to hold up. He was headed back to the second base bag just to make sure. But a couple of hits to lead off the D-backs 7th against Ivan Nova, and Lamb is 2 for 3.
Jake might have broke his bat on this one, but again, he didn't get it on the ground. He got it up in the air, blooped it in. Goldie had to make sure that this ball clears and gets into the outfield, which he did, and it gets over to third base now. Now you got guys at the corner, nobody out. You feel pretty good about your chances here.
I hope so. Yasmani Tomas is the hitter. Yeah, by the time that ball landed, Goldie was heading back towards second base just to make sure that it dropped down. Tomas 0 for 2 so far. He's got Goldie at third, Lamb at first, and no outs. 1-0 in the 7th.
Breaking ball up in the zone that time.
Tell you what, Candy, they didn't sniff a base hit against Nova the first 4 innings. He retired the first 12 batters he faced, but they've got 5 base hits now in the last 2+ innings.
Yeah. And third time through, they're 3 for 4.
Yeah.
They're doing a good job making adjustments now.
And a lot of these balls have been hit pretty hard. Moss just a little late on that. It's 1-1.
Nova starting to miss his spots also. That was a fastball that Cervelli wanted inside tight, and he threw that ball away.
Well, if you're a sinker ball pitcher, we used to go through this all the time when Trevor Cahill was a Diamondback. How much control do you really have when you're relying on that sinking downward movement?
Yeah. Well, with this guy, he's got a lot of control because he doesn't walk that many guys at all. You know, Cahill was, well, he's probably walking 4.5 guys per 9 innings. You know, he just had so much movement, but he's got controlled movement. He's been pretty good with his control and his command.
Only walked 5 batters all year. 1-1 to Yasmani Tomas.
Breaking ball. That was one to hit right there. Missed it, just fouled it off.
Yeah, with Nova, it's pretty much sinker, curveball, very rare changeup.
He doesn't strike a lot of guys out, but this is one situation where he's going for the strikeout. And Yasmani, it's important to put the ball in play. Even if you hit a ground ball right here with the infield bat, Goldie's going to be able to score a run.
Here's the 1-2 pitch. Got it. Third strikeout for Nova, 1 down in the 7th.
Yeah, see, that's what you didn't want right there. You got him with the breaking ball and got Yasmani to chase it.
Now, if Drury hits a ground ball, Nova's likely out of the inning.
That's why sometimes you'll take that 1 run, but you needed contact there. So now it's up to Drury.
He's 0 for 2. He hit into a double play to win the 5th his last time up.
And you'd think with the way the shift is a little bit on Drury, with Gobe kind of playing over by second base, he's going to try to keep the ball in tight on him. Try to induce a ground ball to the left side of the infield.
A lot of room on that right-hand side. Bell holding Lamb of the bag at first, and Gope shaded near the bag at second.
Inside target, down low in the zone.
Well, Brandon's one of these Diamondback bats that you hope to get going on the road this year. He's had only 5 road RBIs all season long. Up there in a big RBI spot right here.
Keeping it down and in.
Yeah.
It's a hard pitch to do anything with right there. That's where, you know, plate discipline really comes into play as a hitter. You can't do much with that ball, so you got to be disciplined to stay off it. You know, it's different when you get to 2 strikes.
Even if you lay off, Nova gets a lot of low strike calls, especially with Cervelli back there. Excellent pitch for him. Here's the 1-1 to Drury. Tap foul. Chris Herman is the on-deck hitter, 1-2 now. Goldie doubled to lead off this inning, just missed a home run. Lamb singled him to third. Tomas struck out, now 1-2 on Brandon Drury.
Probably not going to get a ball up in the zone, something you can drive up in the air or the other way. You really got to zone downward, look down in the zone here.
That's where Cervelli is set up. Reaches out and just does get a piece.
It's awful hard for a hitter to be able to cover the whole plate. Cover both sides of the plate, cover up and down, especially when you got this guy on the mound who's, you know, he's precision out there.
He's throwing 94, and then he might throw a breaking ball up there 82.
Yeah. But you got to put the ball in play.
Drury belts it down the left field line, but foul. What's the best way to attack a guy who you know is in 2-strike protect mode?
Well, right now he's got to stay with his strengths right now, and so his strength to me is keeping the ball down in the zone and trying to generate the ground ball to the left side of the infield here. So I think Nova, I mean, he's taking a shot with that breaking ball right there, trying to get a strikeout. And Drury was on it, fouled it off, but I think he's going to stay with his strength. His 2-seamer, his sinker that's going to be a little bit down, a little bit in, but he's going to keep it on the inside part of the plate, try to generate a ground ball.
You saw there after Nova absolutely cruised through the first 5 innings. He has really labored in the 6th and now the 7th. Another 1-2 to Brandon Drury. On the ground to shortstop. Mercer smothers it. He's got no play. Goldie scores, and it's 2-0 Diamondbacks.
Well, Nova made the pitch he wanted. He got the result he wanted, but the ball gets right in the hole. Mercer had to go to his right. Couldn't quite come up with that. And that's the old seeing eye base hit. There it is. Generates the ground ball. Drury knows he gets it in the right place. And there's a base hit and an RBI.
And the inning continues now. Lamb at second, Drury at first. Still only 1 out. A run is in. And here's Chris Herman.
And that's the difference between being a sinker ball guy that gets ground balls and generates contact compared to a guy like Robbie Ray in that situation, be going for the punch out, no contact.
Yeah, sometimes you get the ground ball you want, just somebody hits it to the wrong spot.
Yep.
And that worked out well for the D-backs. Herman 0 for 2 so far. Chris has not had a base hit since he homered for the 3rd consecutive game last Tuesday against the White Sox at Chase Field. He was hitless in Milwaukee. Struck out on his only at bat in the ball game here last night.
Let's keep adding on. Don't stop.
Well, he's in good shape here, ahead 2-0. Mercer, the shortstop, right behind the second base bag. Freeze, the only infielder on the left-hand side for the Pirates. Fastball is a strike, and it's 2-1.
Well, again, this theme kind of continues here, 3rd time through the order. Doing some damage. 1, 2, 3, 4 base hits.
Yeah, 6 hits for the Diamondbacks, all coming in the last 2+ innings. Gets the call inside, and it's 2-2. Bullpen starts to get busy for the Pirates. Former Diamondback Daniel Hudson has started loosening up. There's Huddy.
73 pitches he's thrown, but he's been on cruise control really until this inning. A little bit last inning too. And he's stressing out a little bit right now.
Late time granted by Eric Cooper behind the plate. You can see how much Nova has had to work here. You're talking about a guy that opened up with what, 4 or 5 single-digit pitch innings, and now he's thrown 21 in the 7th and still only 1 out. He's worked it full on Herman 3-2.
And missing out of the strike zone. It's almost as if he's trying to be a little bit too fine right now, trying to make the perfect pitch.
Fuentes, who singled and scored his last time up, is on deck. Lamb at second, Drury at first. 1 out.
Usually the D-backs love to pull that double steal, but not with the personnel they have on the bases right now.
Runners hold, and Herman fouls that one off. Chris Herman really good at these long extended at bats. He had one in the ball game as a pinch hitter last night. Finally got rung up on a dicey called third strike by Adrian Johnson. I think it was a 10 or 11 pitch at bat. Ball 4, the bases are loaded.
Well, another great at bat, right?
Well, he's got a really good eye up there. First walk of the ball game and only the 6th all season issued by Ivan Nova. Here comes Ray Searage, the pitching coach.
Ray just taking his time coming out, just trying to give him a breather right here, knowing that he's thrown a lot of pitches this inning.
Well, didn't you play with Ray Searage?
Yeah, we were teammates back in 1985. We were in AAA together. We won the Pacific Coast League. Ray was one of the left-handed setup men on the team.
He has become one of the premier pitching coaches in the major leagues.
And if you would have known him back then, you would have never imagined him being a pitching coach.
Now, why is that?
He had the worst delivery ever. His head would jerk out. He would throw max effort. I don't think he saw the plate half the time when he threw, because his head was really jerking out. But he has done a wonderful job, and probably one of the most highly regarded pitching coaches in baseball right now.
He's got a reputation as a guy who can really engineer some reclamation projects with pitchers who've struggled in other places, like Ivan Nova, who didn't have near the success he had with the Yankees that he's had here in Pittsburgh. So here you go, bases loaded, 1 out. Ray Fuentes 1 for 2. It's it on the ground. Herman has to leap over it, and Gope gets over there. They get the out. Lamb scores, and it's 3-0. What a job by Chris Herman to avoid that one. If it hits him, he's out.
And the reason also is that, you know, the ball would be dead once it hit him, so they wouldn't be able to turn a double play. But there's no way they're going to turn on this one anyway. So you avoid it. Maybe that ball gets through. And Fuentes came very close to beating Nova over to first base.
Yeah, sure did. No challenge from the Diamondbacks in terms of the play at first base. But Fuentes gets another run home, 3-0. Second and third, 2 down now for the pitcher Robbie Ray. Good job by Ray Fuentes. He's singled, he's scored a run, he's knocked in one now. On the ground to second, Gifton Gope is there from the outfield grass. And that's the inning, but the Diamondbacks get to Ivan Nova. Robbie Ray rolling along. Now he's got a 3-0 lead. here in Pittsburgh, PA, as we head to the home half of the 7th inning at PNC Park. What's next brought to you by CenturyLink. The series finale getaway day game tomorrow. Zach Godley on the mound against right-hander Chad Kuhl. It's breakfast with the D-backs tomorrow. Diamondback Live pregame show comes your way at 9 a.m. Back home in the great state of Arizona. 9:35 first pitch, and there is rain in the forecast, so we're hoping for the best. And then after that ball game, it's on an airplane. We head to Miami for 4 against the Marlins starting on Thursday. Josh Bell leads off the Pirates' 7th against Robbie Ray. He's 0 for 2. Told you earlier that in that Marlins series, Randall Delgado, who was sensational here yesterday, will start the game in Miami on Saturday, and everyone is hopeful that Taijuan Walker can start that series and road trip finale on Sunday.
It would be great to get Taijuan back. Successful today in a simulated game.
They're going to wait a day and make sure, see how that blister reacts. He threw about 60 pitches today in that sim game, and if the finger and the blister are okay tomorrow, we should be good to go for Sunday. 80 pitches now for Robbie Ray, 51 for strikes. 2-2 to Josh Bell. Off the glove of Ray. Drury there behind the bag. One down in the 7th.
Robbie probably thought that was going to be a base hit as that ball avoids his glove going up the middle, but you turn around, you see Brandon Drury right there.
It seems more often than not when you watch baseball every day that the pitcher is much better off, Candy, not trying to, unless it comes right to him. Just let somebody behind you
get away from it, right?
Yeah.
Avoid it. There's always someone behind you.
David Freese. Well, hopefully. Freese belts one out to Peralta, right field. That was a sinking liner for the 2nd out. Freese 0 for 3.
Just jump by David that time. Ball was hit well, kind of slicing away from him. He was right there to make the play.
Here's Cervelli.
I still think he's Italian.
He's from Venezuela. Can't go wrong with little Dino for walk-up music.
Right?
How'd all these people get in my room? They have actually a That's Amore segment with Francisco Cervelli that they play on the scoreboard here at PNC Park. And in the Francisco Cervelli That's Amore segment, he dispenses romantic advice.
Yes.
And the question for Francisco today was from a guy who sent a letter, said, my girlfriend has a snake and she really, really likes it. And I want her to get rid of the snake. So what do I do?
And his response? His
response was, I would learn not to be afraid of the snake. That was solid advice. He's kind of like the Dear Abby of the Pirates.
I love it.
Pretty fun. It's a funny little bit, actually.
That's actually great.
Yeah. 2-1. Robbie Ray has been outstanding again, the 3rd consecutive start. So far 6 2/3 scoreless. He's got 8 strikeouts and no walks.
1 strike away from a shutdown inning.
Big time. Just missed coming in with that fastball, and it's a full count on Cervelli, 3-2. You can see he has been efficient from the get-go. Up the middle. Drury is there. Tough backhand throw. Look at that play. Brandon Drury, the cheater jump throw from center field. Robbie Ray through 7 with a 3-0 lead. Here in downtown Pittsburgh, Steve Berthune, Tom Candiotti, Jody Jackson along the way. Diamondbacks lead the Pirates 3-0. Helped Candy by our Chaz Roberts, air conditioning and plumbing. Cool play of the game. Brandon Drury ends the bottom of the 7th.
Like you said, the Derek Jeter jump and throw. What a great play that was. Not an easy one, and he made it flawlessly. Jeter would be proud.
Out onto that on-field grass in very shallow center. The backhand stop, the turn and throw right on the target. And again, Robbie Ray outstanding. He's through 7, working on a 3-hit shutout. And on to start the top of the 8th for the Pirates, it's old friend Daniel Hudson. The numbers on Huddy this year, his 24th appearance. He's made 5 straight scoreless outings.
Hasn't got a win this year. 8 holds, that's huge.
He has not even given up a hit, in fact, in 3 of his last 5 appearances. And a work to the top of the Diamondback order. Chris Owings, David Peralta, and Paul Goldschmidt. D-backs trying to even this series at a game apiece and snap a 3-game losing streak. CO belted a double to deep left center field. His last time up, knocked in a run.
He's hit the ball hard twice in this game.
Sure has. Really, he's hit the ball hard all year long. Now that that left shoulder is fully recovered from the labrum injury a couple of years ago, really stays on the ball, drives it into the gaps or down the lines.
Got some pop. All-star worthy.
Absolutely. It's a no-brainer, in fact, if you look at the numbers relative to his position and the fact that he's playing 2 or 3 positions oftentimes. There's McCutcheon. Right now, the Diamondbacks, for me, have several absolute no-brainer all-stars. Goldie, obviously, Lamb, Owings, Greinke, and you can make a very good case here if he continues this way for Robbie Ray.
We'll have no argument with any of those guys. Put them all on.
David 0 for 3 tonight. First pitch swinging, Gift and Gope from the outfield grass. 2 quick outs for Huddy. Was it tough pitching against former teams and teammates for you?
Sometimes it was, but for the most part, after that first initial time,
kind of no biggie.
Then it was like, you know, business as usual. But that first time coming back to the city where you were going to pitch against, you know, once I was traded from the Indians over to the Toronto Blue Jays and coming back to face the Indians that first time, it was pretty nerve-wracking at first. But once you get in the game, it's, you know, the competitive juices kind of flare out and it's all about getting outs.
Well, we saw Huddy got a big ovation early in the ball game when he returned for the first game of that series at Chase Field earlier this month, and he got out there on the mound, so it should all be behind him now.
Yep.
Goldie doubled and scored his last time up. He's 1 for 3.
Goldie looked like he was trying to take that ball to right field again. Outside fastball.
Diamondbacks trying to snap a 6-game losing streak here at PNC Park. They've not had a lot of luck here lately. Lays off the fastball up, and it's 1-2. Came in here last May, just about the same time, in fact, and got swept in Pittsburgh. Diamondbacks got outscored in that 3-game set 25-8. Trying to even up this series at a game apiece with Zach Godley going tomorrow. Back even 2-2.
When you really watch Goldie, we talk about hand position on a hitter. And he starts initially with his hands up high. So you think as a pitcher, all right, I can get this guy down and away. But we know Goldie can hit the ball down and away. But watch his hands drop right before the pitch is being thrown. His hands are going to drop down. And that's what enables him to get to the outside pitch.
It's a grounder to Ngope at second base. Daniel Hudson makes short work of his former team. Bottom 8 all the way. It's 3-0 D-backs. start, Robbie Ray has worked at least 7 scoreless innings. He leads at 3-0 as we start the home half of the 8th inning. Vance Baxter's birthday coming up next Sunday, June 11th. He's inviting you and all of his mascot buddies to join him at Chase Field as Andrew McCutchen fouls that one away. First 10,000 kids in attendance to the game on Sunday, June 11th. Get a bat and ball set as part of MLB's Play Ball Weekend. And after the game, kids can run the bases for Phoenix Children's Hospital. See all the kid-friendly activities Chase Field has to offer online at dbacks.com/kids. Big Baxter birthday coming up Sunday.
Do we have a list of all the mascots that are coming?
Yeah, it's a VIP kind of a thing. There's a velvet rope, and you got to be on the list.
Yep.
So we can't.
RSVPs aren't all in yet.
No. You don't want to make the list public because then people get jealous, and you know Dinger didn't get an invite again, and he gets upset, and we got to go to Colorado and deal with Dinger, and that's a whole nother nightmare. So we're just going to keep the invite list private.
All right.
Because you know how Dinger can get.
Text me.
1-2 on McCutchen. Robbie Ray, 2 starts ago at San Diego, 7 2/3 innings. He gave up only 2 hits. Then his last start to start this road trip Thursday in Milwaukee, 7 scoreless, gave up only 2 hits. He's given up only 3 hits tonight. Full count on McCutchen, 3-2. Jose Osuna on deck. Challenged him up with a fastball and struck him out. That's 9 strikeouts for Robbie Ray. Second game in a row he's had 9 strikeouts. 1 down in the game.
Great pitch, and a guy with the low hands comes up in the zone and gets the punch out. Boy, 96 still. What's that pitch? 94.
94 so far, 59 strikes. In his last 2 starts, Robbie has thrown 110 and 102 on the pitch count. And his high for the year is 111. That was his second start of the season in a win at San Francisco.
Still really keeping his cadence up, getting the ball, attacking.
It seems to make such a world of difference for him. It just seems candy to lock him in and get in strikeout mode where he really comes after these guys.
I agree. He's not messing around at all. Trusting his stuff, trusting his catcher.
Well, if he can get a relatively quick 8th inning, maybe Torrey will let him go back out there for the 9th and get the shutout. Bullpen could certainly use the night off.
Yes.
But the pitch count has got to stay reasonable. Talking that over right now, maybe with Mike Butcher. That's out of play.
Well, not only besides the pitch count, but still, it's just a 3-0 game right now, 3-run game, and the way he's throwing right now.
Ain't broke, don't fix it.
I agree with you.
Only 3 hits allowed, no walks. Hard to shortstop. Owings is there, sets and throws. 2 outs.
And to go along with the great cadence that Robbie has right now, you're seeing some great infield defense play also.
Yeah.
Drury's made a couple nice plays. CO's made some nice plays.
He's retired 7 straight since Nova singled to lead off the 6th. Gift and Gope's turn is up. Adam Frazier will be the pinch hitter. And Frazier's a guy, left-hand batter in there against Robbie, who has really struggled lately. He's stuck in a 1-for-17 skid right now, but is hitting .324 on the year.
Well, that shows you how he really was hitting the ball.
Yeah, he's had a nice year.
And Robbie not messing around. Back up there. Starts him off the slider. Pounds a fastball right by him.
He really does get into here it is, hit it mode.
Yes.
I'm coming 95, 96. Good luck. Deal with it.
He's going to throw this one up in the zone here.
Just got a piece at 96.
He could probably go a little bit higher than that even.
Chris Herman behind the plate tonight, 0-2 on Adam Frazier. He tried to, but missed.
Shook Herman off that time. Herman wanted the slider. Robbie wanted to let it go. Comes the slider.
Right field. Here comes Peralta. Has to play it on a hop. 2-out single for Frazier. That'll extend the inning a bit.
Didn't have a lot of bite on that slider. I think he wanted to get it down a little farther than where he threw the ball that time. And that's why Frazier's able to just kind of bloop it into short right.
Elias Diaz now, the backup catcher, just called up today from AAA Indianapolis. Will hit for the pitcher Hudson. Diaz called up when the backup catcher Chris Stewart went on the DL. Here comes Mike Butcher. Stewart out with that hamstring injury suffered in the game yesterday. And so here's Diaz.
And I'm sure Butch is out there just asking, hey, how you feeling? Look at me in the eye. Be honest with me. Are we all good here?
Don't see anyone warming up with the Diamondback bullpen with Robbie at 104 pitches. There it is. No one's throwing for the Diamondbacks.
That's some kind of great confidence you have in your starter right now. And Torrey's been doing that all season long with the starters.
Well, he essentially hasn't given up a single run now in 3 consecutive starts. Frazier at first, 2 outs. Phone does ring now with the Diamondback bullpen, and there's ball 1. Diaz had played 4 games with the Pirates this year prior to his recent call up today. He's 2 for 9 at the plate this season. Does have a double. He was hitting .281 at AAA with 2 homers. On the ground to shortstop, right to Owens. Drury's there. They go the short way for the force on Frazier. And Robbie Ray through 8 innings working on a 4-hit shutout. Lead the Pirates 3-0. Hey fans, the D-backs will face the Padres coming up at Chase Field next week, June 6th through the 8th. You can get to the game with a D-backs value pack. It includes a game ticket, a Subway sandwich, or a hot dog and a Pepsi, all for only $25. Get your tickets at dbacks.com/value, and we'll see you at Chase Field next week. New pitcher for the Pirates, the left-hander Wade LeBlanc. His 19th appearance of the year, a 2.70 ERA.
3-0 record. Hitters only hitting .207 against them. And right now, Clint Hurdle, he's just filling an inning right now.
Well, you've got the lefty Jake Lamb to lead off this 9th inning. Then right-hand hitters behind him, Tomas and Drury. Defensive changes behind him. Frazier, who hit for Gift Ngope, the second baseman, stays in the game. He moves out to left field, replacing Josh Harrison, and Harrison is at second, replacing Ngope. Good night for Jake Lamb. He has singled twice, scored a run, 2 for 3.
insurance runs now. Another 1 or 2.
Can never have enough. There is no one throwing, at least as far as we can see from way up here in the Diamondback bullpen.
Save situation as we speak right now.
Robbie Ray, for his career, has never thrown a complete game. As Lamb strikes out against the lefty, LeBlanc went away.
Jake just kind of frozen on the slider, kind of starts it at him. He gives up on it, and that ball breaks over the inside third.
As Manny Tomas struck out his last time up, El Tanque 0 for 3 tonight. When you can see Osmani's feet start skipping around, that's when you know, okay, it's not the swing that you want to see.
He chased the changeup down in the dirt, but he was guessing fastball and turned into a guess hitter that time. When you see the potential that Yasmani brings, you know, if he gets hot, and, you know,
he's very strong. Hits one deep center field. McCutchen at the wall, and it's off the top of the wall. Tomas at second. McCutchen may have kept that in the ballpark. Let's take a look at the replay. As he tried to rob the home run and may have prevented a home run off the bat of Yasmani Tomas.
Boy, straight away center field. It's a fastball. Yasmani gets it, and I think he thinks it's gone off the bat. McCutchen's back there.
Let's see. Oh, hit off the wall.
Almost got it.
Yep. Well, that was belted by Yasmani, his 10th double this year. He's at second now with one. It'll come out for the pinch runner as Gregor Blanco takes his place at second base, and you assume he'll stay in the game and take over in left field for the bottom of the ninth.
How cool was that? Torey Lovullo going to the end of the dugout to give him a hug to meet him.
Torey is enormously gifted, it seems, at building one-on-one relationships.
Yes.
That was, I mean, you heard that was his strength as a bench coach in Boston. It's why his hire as Diamondbacks manager was applauded all over the baseball world. And when you talk to him, you just get, he's got this easy vibe about him, this just sense of calm and presence. And he really works at moments just like this.
Yeah, all the way down to the very end of the dugout. Torey's walked all the way down to give him a hug right there. He makes every guy on this team feel important to be part of the team.
And it's just little things like that oftentimes. 0-2 on Brandon Drury.
Loves having conversations with his players, with all of his players. Kind of manager you wish you could go back and play for. I would love to play for a guy like him.
LeBlanc gets his second strikeout. He rings up Drury 2 down.
Drury doesn't like the call. Looks like a fastball inside third.
Robbie Ray's already gone the deepest into a ball game he's ever gone as a Diamondback. 8 complete innings. There is some action in the D-backs bullpen. His spot in the order now is 2 spots away. Herman, the hitter, Fuentes on deck. Archie Bradley now, who served up the walk-off home run to McCutchen yesterday, and started throwing the D-backs pen. Fastball up and in, missed. So it looks like Robbie might be done here. 8 scoreless innings. He gave up only 4 hits, no walks, and 9 strikeouts. Rodney and Bradley warming up in the pen.
Either one of them looks ready. I've got a feeling that Robbie's going out.
We'll see. We'll get some indication if Herman can get on base, then Fuentes would hit, and Robbie's spot would be in the on-deck circle. Deepest he'd gone to win a ball game this year was 7 2/3 in that win at San Diego 2 starts ago. He's completed 8 tonight. Good take by Herman. Just talked last time he was up there about what a good eye he has. Yeah. They had 3-0. Trying to get Blanco home from second with 2 outs. In the air, center field. Long run for McCutchen coming in, drifting over to left center field. Calls off Frazier. And he's got it. Bottom 9 on the way. Robbie Ray coming back out. Going for the shutout. Game worthy. Look at Robbie Ray. For the 3rd consecutive start, he has kept the opposition scoreless. Robbie tonight, 8 scoreless innings. He's given up only 4 hits, no walks, Candy, and 9 strikeouts.
And he has lowered his road ERA from 0.81 to something lower than that.
A lot lower. He has been sensational. Now in 71 career major league starts, he has never thrown a complete game, and he's back out there to start the 9th. Our Gila River game summary. Robbie Ray is the story. It's 0.65 now for Robbie, that road ERA. Jordy Mercer, the leadoff man, leads off the Pirate 9th with Bradley and Rodney throwing in the Diamondback bullpen. Looks like Archie has sat down now, but Rodney is still up and throwing.
Robbie has turned into the road warrior.
Fly ball, right field, Peralta. Now, of course, at this point, we can only guess. But oftentimes in these types of situations where Torey Lovullo extends his starting pitcher that one more inning, he has told him, look, 1 base runner and you're gone. So that may be the case here. Of course, we don't know for sure, but Robbie's at 108 pitches right now. His high for the season is 111.
Yeah, and you still want to make sure you win this game, too. It's just a 3-run game right now, but 108 pitches thrown, a guy gets on base, then you're talking about that pitch count maybe getting up a little bit too high.
Josh Harrison doubled in the 4th, 1 for 3. Right to Lamb. That's an out on the fly. Quickly 2 outs. So Robbie Ray 1 out away from his first career complete game and first career shutout.
Well, now you can really let it all hang out right now. You want to get those first 2 outs, which he did quickly. And now you got whatever's left in your tank. You're using it right now.
The switch hitting Josh Bell, last man standing for the Pirates. 110 pitches for Robbie. 72 for strikes, and there's strike 1.
How about that pitch? A curveball at 77, the slowest one he's thrown in this game. Drops it in there for a strike.
Well, Bell is a better hitter from the left-hand side, so it's advantage Robbie, and now he's a strike away. Diamondbacks trying to snap this 3-game losing streak, even this series in Pittsburgh at a game apiece. Robbie Ray, the 0-2 to Josh Bell. Just missed with that one. It's 1-2.
When you start fatiguing out there, you concentrate more on location. Robbie should keep this ball down, breaking ball, get the swing and miss.
Just got a piece of it. You were right.
Let's keep that curveball down.
Rodney is ready in the bullpen.
114 pitches.
75 strikes. Here's the 1-2. Got him, Robbie Ray. His first career complete game and first career shutout. His third straight scoreless outing, and the Diamondbacks beat the Pirates 3-0.
Boy, what a game this was. What a well-pitched game, really between both pitchers. But now Robbie Ray comes back. He's the guy that remains standing out there. That last fastball, 95. That was all he had left in the tank.
Robbie Ray, 10 strikeouts without a walk. It's a 4-hit shutout for the D-backs lefty. And he is on a roll. He's won 3 straight starts. The best road pitcher in the National League. Back with more from Pittsburgh. 3-0 Diamondbacks win it.